G.K. Chesterton, an English writer, was a convert to Catholicism and a popular commentator on religion. In my own opinion, I also see him as the patron saint of common sense. When asked, as a literary scholar, how he could believe all the fantastic miracle stories in the Gospels, Chesterton said, "I have never doubted the miracles of Christ. In fact, my faith is so secure that I believe all the miracle stories, despite the fact that they were told to us by fishermen." With apologies to honest fishermen and in good humor, we often suspect fishermen to exaggerate. They tell you the fish was this size and their hands grow further and further apart. Such was probably the case already in Gospel times. Aside from this amusing issue of the untruthfulness of fishermen, there are serious issues as to why Christ chose fishermen to be his apostles. In Gospel times, fishing was dangerous, exhausting, and insecure work. Fishermen were uneducated, rugged laborers. Most were illiterate, with few social graces and fewer communication skills. Why did Christ choose such fishermen as his apostles? There were many priests and elders professionally trained in religious matters. Yet Christ bypassed these qualified candidates and chose 12 uneducated fishermen. The usual answer is that these fishermen were more open to his message. They had no preconceived ideas about the Messiah. The rabbis and priests had studied the scriptures and the traditions. They thought they knew everything about the promised Messiah. So often religious people know the mind of God better than God himself. And the gospel bears this out. The Pharisees, Sadducees, and priests rejected Christ time and again, and always on religious grounds. He did not fit their concept of the Messiah. It is also suggested that Christ chose fishermen without religious training or communication skills to illustrate that it is God who grants faith. The ministers are only his instruments. The spreading of the gospel does not depend upon their skill or talents, but on the grace of God acting through them. No entrepreneur in 35 AD would have invested in this new Christianity, which was directed by a ragtag group of fishermen whose leader had been executed as a common criminal. The spread of Christianity defied all the odds. It still amazes historians. And finally, it is suggested that fishermen were chosen because of the analogy between fishing and faith. The apostles were to become fishers of men. Landing fish and leading people to God follow similar patterns. The fish are hidden from view, as is the human soul. The net must be cast to gather the fish. as the word of God must be spread to the people. The fish are lured with bait, as the truth of the gospel attracts the spiritually hungry. In summary, fishermen were chosen as the apostles because, without preconceived ideas, they were open to the gospel message. The grace of God, not their talents, would further the gospel. And converts are made in the manner that fish are caught. There is a lesson here for modern Christians. Many today have a religious inferiority complex, a low religious self-esteem. Too often people sell themselves short spiritually. They feel that their lack of formal religious training disqualifies them from engaging their faith more seriously. And this in two ways: in developing their own faith and in using their gifts of faith in service of others. Consequently, many enriching opportunities are lost. Lay ministries, Bible study, renewal programs, parish activities. The selection of apostles from common fishermen reminds us that Christian life and Christian ministry is for all the baptized. Consider this interesting hypothesis. If Christ came again today to choose anew his apostles, whom would he select? If today's gospel is any indication, the most likely candidate would not be the archbishop nor the parish priest, but you. In a very real sense, every baptized Christian is an apostle, chosen not only to live the gospel, but to spread it to others. You are called to be fishers of men, a new kind of fisherman, one who lives and speaks the truth.